497 points. Daniel Hemrick in 5th place in the 14 truck, 460 points. 6th place, Cameron Haley in the 13 truck, 451 points. 7th place is Timothy Peters in the 17 truck, 448 points. John West Townley in 8th place in the 05 truck, 447 points. Spencer Gallagher in 9th place, the 23 truck, 416 points. And Ben Kennedy in 10th place, the 11 truck, 410 points. From 11th to 15th place in order, Ray Black Jr., Tyler Young, Corbin Forrester, Jennifer Del Cobb, and Brandon Jones. From 16th to 20th place in order, John Hunter Nemechek, Mason Mingus, Travis Cavapel, Norm Benning, and Justin Boston. From 21st to 25th place in order, Jordan Anderson, Cole Custer, Matt Tift, Austin Theriot, and Ryan Ellis. Manufacturer standings for the Camping World Truck Series is as follows. First place, Toyota. Second place is Ford. Third place is Chevrolet. And in 4th place, it's Ram. And that is this week's driver standings. All right. So, not a lot of news, really. Really, the only big one was, of course, the incident, Justin Wilson. And very sad. Now there's talk, I heard, they want that, well, maybe putting a roof, on the car. It's kind of like a fighter jet kind of thing. I saw a video of it, and it really kind of, brings it to reality. Racing is a dangerous sport. It has been. I mean, since the beginning. And those race cars are open cockpit. So, just think what happens if you were to flip over in one of those cars. At least in a NASCAR, now, NASCAR back in the day was dangerous too. Now they got these new cars, the cars tomorrow, the Generation 6 cars, but even still, you're in a race car with no roof, and you're doing 220 miles an hour, okay? And those cars pick up any debris. Those cars are so fragile, it blows your mind. With a NASCAR, a stock car, you hit the wall, maybe got a 50-50 chance that, you can get that car back out there. But these cars hit the wall, that's it. But the issue was that there was debris on the track. Now, I don't know if the debris was flying or the debris was on the track. That I don't know. And the news gives you like 10 different stories on it, so I don't know all the facts. So that's why I'll be honest with you, I have a hard time discussing this matter. So I always saw the car come around the turn and hit the wall. Okay, he spun and hit the wall because the guy got knocked out unconscious, and then the car started spinning. Now you're going into that wall. Who knows? With no brakes, so you're just going into that wall, and should they do something to make the cars a little safer? Well, yeah, I think all the racing bodies have an obligation to make the sport safer for the driver. All sports, any major sport organization has, I think, an obligation to ensure the safety of players, participants. NFL, which of course makes moves all the time because with the concussions and the helmets and everything, right? And now there's like a big lawsuit against the NFL. I actually saw a commercial the other day, one of those lawyers commercial where they have those lawyer commercials you see, and so the question is how is it that you make open pit racing safe? Do you have to put a roof on the car? Now, that's a tight fit in those cars, okay? In a stock car, you got some room, but in open wheel, right? In those cars, that's it. It's you and the engine, 4 tires. That's it. There's no, I don't think you got any padding. You probably have some padding in there, but you don't have, it sounds elementary. You don't have a roof, but, again, your head's sticking out the top of the car, doing 220 miles an hour, That's crazy, and I don't really watch a lot of IndyCar. I'll be honest with you. I've only seen 2 races this year, Indy 500, and there was another race that I saw that happened just to catch. It was on, so I watched it, and I forget what race it was. But I mean, those cars are sick, man. Formula One too. Formula One is sick too. You know, two different beasts, but still, you know. So, you know, the question is, again, you know, how do you make the sport safe? Because the last thing you want is to see someone get injured, or in this case, worse than getting injured. You don't want to see a driver losing his life out there, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when that race is over, you know, it's back to the family, back to the wife, kids, back to, you know, taking care of things at home. You know, they got all these drivers and athletes, they got a life, you know, outside of the sport that they're in. And that's why I think it's important that they strive to protect these guys. All right. So, what else we got? That's it. On Michael Waltrip Racing, I guess they're not gonna have a full Sprint Cup schedule next year. Don't know all the details on that, but I heard some along those lines on the grapevine, through the grapevine, I should say. And that's about it. So, now, next week, as I mentioned, next week's podcast is going to be short, probably 20 minutes. So, now there's no Sprint Cup racing next week. So they come back on September 6th. Then you got September 12th. And this is the 6th and the 12th, the last two of the regular season. My goodness, this just flew by. How many weeks has it been? See, I can't. My schedule here that I keep, I always get the schedule at the beginning of the year, right? That's how I start to get ready for the podcast. And I hold on to it all year long. And when I first printed the schedule out off the printer, this paper was all pristine and, you know, shiny and everything. Now there's like pen writing all over it. I got stuff doodled, and it's bent in like 30 different places. One page is torn a little bit. So it gets some wear and tear over the course of the year. That's for sure. Now, as far as the racing podcast is concerned, so the last race will be November 22, and then our last podcast would be the Thursday after. Let me fire up the old calendar here. And so November hold on. All right, so November 22nd is the last race. So our last podcast here would be the 26th. And then Racing Podcast goes into a little vacay. And then we'll be back the Thursday before Daytona 500, which this year is on the 21st of February. So if it all goes well, February 18th, we'll be back. And now, we do on Thursday. Sometimes stuff happens, so Friday is the rain day. So if anything happens on Thursday, we've got to postpone the podcast, then it's going to be Friday. But it should be on. But Thursday is the target day for every week, because something about Thursday, I don't know what. And such. And of course, you can catch the podcast at Spreaker.com /sports. Just look for the RP banner. APodRadio.com, you just log on and the stuff just starts playing automatically. So you got the racing podcast and mixed with baseball update, just to let you know about that. Eventually, when I get around to it, I'm going to put a link for community radio on there, so you can click the link to listen to music on there as well if you want to do that. What else we got? And that's it. So, okay, so what we're going to do, let's go over the schedule one more time, alright? And we'll call it a day. So stick around. RP continues with the final stretch segment next. Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll do it one more time, go over the schedule, and it's a wrap. And I also like to take a moment to say thank you to all the listeners that keep tuning in every week. Thank you, and hope you're enjoying the podcast. And we've gotten listeners from other countries. We've gotten listeners from Spain, UK, Japan. So, pretty neat. So let's get to it. So, Saturday is this week's NASCAR Xfinity Series event, Saturday, August 29th at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and that's on NBCSN and MRN, and that's the Road America 180 fired up by Johnsonville, and that's with 50 laps scheduled. Sunday, this weekend's NASCAR Camping World Truck Series event. Now, this is a cool little race to watch, man. It's a cool little racetrack up there, up in Canada, and it's cool to see these trucks on the road course. I like watching the trucks, actually. I look forward to the trucks. Sunday, August 30th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's on Fox Sports 1 and MRN, and it's the Chevrolet Silverado 250 from Ontario, Canada, with 64 laps scheduled. And then Sunday, September 6th on NBC and MRN, it's the night race at Darlington, the Bojangles Southern 500, and that is with 367 laps scheduled. So, there you go. So, again, the Sprint Cup Chase starts on the 20th, Chicagoland Speedway, and the last race of the season is on Richmond, September 12th. And we'll get into that next time. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for today. I'd like to say thank you for tuning in, and tell all your friends. Racing Podcast, Spreaker.com, #sports. You can also use #news, #talk, and just look for the RP banner. Can't miss it. From the American Podcasting Center in Long Island, New York, I've been your host, Manny A. Be good, be safe. This has been the Racing Podcast.